It was supposed to be the safest thrill ride in the world. Yet in just 3 horrifying seconds, the Mindbender turned into a machine of death. Dreams, steel, and screams collided in a moment no one saw coming. But what really happens when human ambition outruns safety? Can a ride built for joy ever escape tragedy? May 11, 1984. The West Edmonton Mall is buzzing with voices, footsteps, and the faint smell of popcorn mixed with machine oil. Bright neon lights flash against shiny floors, while steel tracks rise and twist like a giant's toy across the massive indoor space. The Mindbender stands tall at 44 meters, the biggest indoor triple-loop roller coaster in the world. Its tracks stretch for more than a kilometer, glowing under the harsh glow of overhead lamps. The sound of the chain lift rattling up the hill echoes like a drumbeat, steady and unshaken. Families wander below, pointing upward at the ride that promises both thrill and fear. In the crowd, 27-year-old Catherine waits, her hands folded tight around her ticket. She is a music student who dreams of making songs for movies, her notebooks filled with sketches of notes and ideas. She has always seen roller coasters as music in motion, loops like crescendos, drops like crashing cymbals. Her friends call her strange for it, but she only laughs. For Catherine, this ride is not only a thrill but a song made of steel, and tonight she wants to feel every note. Her younger brother, standing beside her, shifts uneasily. He remembers hearing workers talk about bolts that sometimes came loose on the ride. "You sure about this?" he asks. His voice carries the nervous weight of someone who already knows the answer but hopes to change it anyway. A mall worker nearby wipes grease from his hands and mutters under his breath about cracks in the wheels. But no one listens long. The line is moving. The lights are flashing. The cheers of riders above drown out the quiet warnings. Catherine steps into the car, smooth steel cold beneath her hand. The safety bar slams down against her lap with a metallic clank, too loud, too sharp, like a wrong note in her imagined song. She breathes in the heavy air, filled with the sharp tang of metal and oil. Her heart thumps, not with fear, but with excitement. Above, thunder rumbles against the glass ceiling, soft but steady, like distant drums before a storm. She smiles, blind to the shadow that waits at the end of the track. At exactly 7:21 p.m., the car jerks forward. The train begins its slow climb, chains dragging it upward at 12 kilometers per hour. Each link clinks and clanks, echoing like a heartbeat that grows louder and louder. Catherine feels her stomach twist, but she grips the lap bar tighter, her eyes shining. The higher they climb, the smaller the people look below, until they are just tiny dots, their faces lit by the glow of neon signs. Then comes the top, 44 meters high. The train pauses for a breath, the whole world holding still, before the nose tilts down. This is the point of no return. There is no stopping now. Wind slaps against her face as the train roars down, faster and faster. Neon streaks past. The first loop comes. Screams burst from the riders, some joyful, some fearful. Catherine closes her eyes and listens. Wheels screaming against steel, her own breath mixing with the roar. For a moment it feels perfect. Her music is alive. But then a sound cuts through. A sharp metallic snap. One wheel assembly breaks loose. A 15-kilogram piece of steel tumbling down toward the floor below. People in the crowd gasp, pointing upward. The train shudders hard, rattling like a wounded animal. Sparks spit out from beneath the car, tiny fireflies flashing in the dark. Catherine feels the bar shake under her grip. Her joy fades, replaced by a sinking coldness in her chest. Around her, riders scream, their voices raw and rising. Below, workers shout and scramble, waving frantically. But the train is already tearing ahead, racing at 100 kilometers per hour into the second loop. Time feels broken. Seconds stretch, then snap back again. Each turn is harder, each rattle louder. The sound is no longer music, but a scream that won't stop. Catherine's heartbeat hammers in her ears, too fast to count. She looks ahead and sees only more track, more steel, more speed. The rescue team tries to move, but they are too far away. The car is already flying forward. The noise grows louder, harsher, filling the mall like a storm. 3 seconds. 2, 1. The ride is no longer a song, but a scream racing toward its final note. At 7:21 p.m., the car jerks forward, pulled by the grinding chain. The sound is steady, like iron teeth biting again and again. The train moves up the steep hill, climbing at 12 kilometers per hour. Catherine feels the vibration in her chest, each clank running through the steel and into her bones. The air smells of oil, hot lights, and the faint sugar of cotton candy carried in from the food stands below. As the train nears the top, 44 meters above the ground, she grips the safety bar tighter. This is the moment she has dreamed of, the height before the fall. the breath before the song begins. The car crests the hill, and for a heartbeat it hovers. Time hangs. Neon lights blur below. The crowd looks small, their faces tilted upward. Catherine's brother waves faintly, his hand shaking, but she does not see it. The train tilts forward, the wheels clicking loose of the chain, and then gravity takes command. Wind roars past her ears. The drop is sharp, her stomach lifting as the train dives. At once the speed grows, 40 kilometers an hour, then 60, then 100, metal wheels screaming along the rail. The first loop arrives like a gate into another world. The train surges upward, turning bodies upside down, pressing them into their seats with crushing force. Catherine's chest feels heavy, her breath squeezed out, but she laughs, the sound swept away by the wind. Around her, riders cry out, some joyful, others gasping with fear. From the ground, the train looks perfect, a smooth blur of light and motion. To the watchers, it seems flawless. For a few seconds it is. But then, beneath the shrieking steel, another sound rips through, a sharp metallic snap. It is quick but loud, echoing through the cavernous mall like a gunshot. A wheel assembly shears free, 15 kilograms of steel, tumbling from the undercarriage. It hits the concrete with a clang, bouncing once before skittering into the crowd. Gasps rise, fingers point, some step back, while others rush forward in panic. The train above shudders, jerking violently. The sound of smooth wheels turns ragged, like a wounded animal crying out. Sparks spit from the rail, bright orange against the shadows. Catherine grips the bar, her knuckles white. The music in her head falters, breaking apart. Riders scream as the train barrels into the second loop. It makes it through, but the car rattles hard, tilting with every turn. Time feels stretched thin. Seconds last forever. Then they collapse into a blur as the train speeds forward again. From the floor, workers shout, their voices faint under the roar. Stop it! Stop the ride! But the train is already at full speed, 100 kilometers per hour. There is no stopping now. The rescue crew scrambles, running toward control panels. But the seconds slip away too fast. The flashing lights of the mall seem to flicker quicker, shadows jumping across faces twisted with fear. Catherine feels the lap bar shake under her grip. Her breath comes short, shallow. The joy from moments ago has turned to dread. She looks sideways at the riders next to her, eyes wide, mouths open. Some pray, some cry. A girl clutches a necklace so tight the chain digs into her hand. The sound of the train drowns them all. Each turn grows sharper, each rattle louder. Sparks trail behind like fireflies, brief and burning. The track feels alive, not smooth steel anymore, but something wild, something broken. The crowd below moves in waves of panic, shouts rising with each jolt of the car. Parents clutch their children, pulling them back. Some cry out names of riders trapped above. Inside the car, Catherine counts the seconds, though she cannot stop herself. 3. She does not know what waits ahead, only that something is coming. The ride that once felt like a song, now feels like a scream. The sound fills her ears, fills the mall, fills the air itself, rushing toward an ending no one can stop. The train hurtles into the final curve, sparks spraying like fireworks. The sound no longer a song but a scream tearing through the air. For a breath it seems as if the ride might survive, the wheels clinging to the steel by sheer force. But then the missing wheel proves its weight. The car tilts, pulling sideways by only 6 centimeters, just enough to twist the frame offline. The track can take no more. The metal groans, a long moan like a dying animal, before the front car slams against a support beam. The force is thunder, iron on iron, louder than the storm outside, louder than the screams. The train crumples. Riders are thrown forward, bodies smashing against restraints that were built for downward pull, not sideways force. Catherine is slammed hard against the lap bar, her ribs cracking like dry sticks. Around her, voices break into cries and silence. The air smells of ozone and hot rubber, sharp and choking. One by one, the cars buckle into each other, folding like a chain of cards struck by wind. The mall fills with smoke, sparks, and screams. On the ground, people scatter, some covering their heads, others frozen where they stand. A mother clutches her child and sobs. A worker drops his radio, the plastic shattering as it hits the tile. Security guards rush forward but stop, helpless as the wreck continues to tear itself apart above them. Time slows. Each second is a hammer blow, another sound of steel and flesh breaking. Then silence. The cars hang broken, twisted against the beam. Sirens begin to wail in the distance, but inside the mall only cries remain. Papers flutter in the air like lost birds. Catherine's notebook slips free from her jacket pocket, falling open as it drifts down. The pages are filled with music lines, loops drawn beside notes, songs she never got to write. The book lands softly, untouched, even as smoke curls around it. the cruel twist lingers. A thing so small, so fragile, survives when bodies in steel do not. Her dream of music lies safe on the floor, but the dreamer will never touch it again. It is a quiet, bitter irony, the kind that makes witnesses cry harder. Investigators later measure it all. The wheel that snapped weighed 15 kilograms. The shift of the car off track was 6.3 centimeters, just enough to send the train into ruin. The restraints, built to lock against vertical G-force, could not fight the sideways slam. The technical truth is clear, but for the people watching, it is not numbers they remember. It is the sound, the sight, the shock of joy turned to horror in a single moment. One man stands frozen, his lips moving. "It wasn't supposed to happen," he whispers. Another rescuer stares at the twisted frame, his hands trembling too hard to move. A teenager nearby covers his ears and rocks back and forth, trying to shut out the sounds still echoing inside his head. Catherine's dream had been to hear music in steel, to write a song built on loops and drops. Now her symphony ends in silence, the song broken in the middle of its rise. The coaster, once a proud machine, is now a tomb, its loops and drops bent like broken strings of a giant violin. The mall, once alive with color and laughter, is now gray, filled with smoke and stillness. The moment clings. It is more than a crash. It is a mirror, showing the sharp truth that dreams built too high can fall. And when they fall hard. The Mindbender's promise of joy is gone, replaced by silence that no music can heal. The wreckage sits heavy, its shadow longer than the steel that built it, and in that shadow lies the weight of ambition turned to grief. Sirens wail through the wide halls of the West Edmonton Mall, their echo bouncing off glass and steel. Red and blue lights flash across the shattered ride, painting the wreck in harsh colors. Rescue teams rush in, boots slamming against the floor, radios crackling with orders that seem too late. The smell of burned rubber, hot oil and copper fills the air, thick and heavy. The screams are quieter now, replaced by the slow, low cries of survivors and the grim silence of those who cannot move. People cover their mouths. Some pray, some only stare. Time itself feels broken, as if the mall has fallen into another world. 4 lives are gone. 19 others lie broken and cut, carried away on stretchers that squeak across the tile. Catherine is among them, still and silent, her hand resting near the lap bar that failed her. Near her feet, the notebook lies open, pages fluttering as rescuers move past, the songs inside untouched by fire or steel. Some pause when they see it, the fragile book lying safe while the machine that killed her twists above. It is a cruel picture, one that burns into memory. News spreads fast. By morning, headlines scream across papers and screens. Roller coaster of death, Mindbender tragedy, the ride that should never have failed. Crowds gather outside the mall, candles in hand, their small flames shaking against the cold night air. Reporters press close, their cameras catching every tear, every whisper. Strangers leave flowers at the doors. Families clutch each other tighter, wondering how something meant for joy could turn into a place of mourning. The accident joins a grim list of names. People remember the Big Dipper in London, where 5 lives were lost in 1972. They remember the Derby racer in Massachusetts in 1911, when speed turned a thrill into a death trap. Now the Mindbender sits beside them, another ghost in the long, dark history of rides that promised too much. Each one is a story of joy turned to ruin, of laughter swallowed by screams. Engineers gather, their hands tracing over bent beams, measuring bolts, weighing steel. They speak in numbers, 6.3 centimeters, 15 kilograms, 44 meters. They explain how the design failed, how a small break in a wheel could unmake the whole ride. New rules follow. Restraints are rebuilt, tracks are tested harder, checks run longer. But behind the numbers and fixes lies a truth no bolt can erase. People trusted the ride, and the ride betrayed them. Years later, the Mindbender runs again. Its cars glide smoother, its bolts checked with more care, but the shadow never leaves. Riders scream with thrill, but whispers follow every train that climbs the hill. People remember. They tell the story of that night to their children, their voices dropping low as they say the names of the dead. A plaque is placed near the ride, small and quiet, its words marking the lives lost. Some stop to read it. Many do not. But the mall remembers, the steel remembers, the shadow lingers. Catherine's notebook ends up in the hands of her brother. He keeps it on a shelf, its pages untouched, still smelling faintly of smoke. Sometimes he opens it, hearing her voice in the lines of music she left behind. She once said roller coasters were music made of steel, each loop a song. Now he sees the truth. Her music was unfinished, her song cut short by the very thing she loved. It is a cruel irony, a broken symphony, but also a memory that refuses to fade. The story becomes legend among riders and builders alike. Safety briefings tell of the Mindbender, a warning written in blood and steel. Engineers whisper its name when they test a new ride, reminding themselves how thin the line can be between thrill and ruin. The culture of rides changes, shaped by tragedy, marked forever by what was lost. But even as rules grow tighter, as bolts grow stronger, human nature does not change. People still line up for the drop, the loop, the scream. They still seek the edge, the place where fear and joy crash together. It is in our bones, this hunger to climb higher, to go faster, to feel the rush of life racing past. The storm may strike, the steel may break, but the dream of flight is stronger than fear. Catherine once looked at the ride and called it music. Now her story is the silence after the song, the echo that lingers long after the music ends. It is a reminder that steel can sing, but steel can also break. And when it breaks, it asks us the question we cannot turn from. Why do we chase danger, even knowing it may cost us everything? The Mindbender tragedy is only one voice in a chorus of disaster. There are others, other rides, other nights, other screams. Each carries the same truth. Joy and danger are never far apart. And if this story chills you, then stay close, because the next tale of steel and fire will leave you breathless. Do not look away. The ride is only just beginning.